So, in your controlled assessment, you are exploring the ways in which the relationship between Eddie and Catherine is presented in A View from a Bridge. And you need to use lots and lots of quotations and examples from the text in your response. If you remember, we looked at the criteria for the mark scheme, and we said that to get a C and above, we needed to aim for band 4 and 5 responses. So we need to make sure that our response is sustained. That means it's detailed, it's developed. You're using the 7 stages to develop your paragraphs, not just making simple points, evidence and explain. You've got to go beyond that to get a band 4. Your response is supported by detailed textual reference. That means that you're constantly using quotes to support the points that you're making, and you will be embedding different quotes throughout the paragraphs to prove your point. Band 5 responses will be more perceptive, so that will be where you might be using alternative interpretations. You will be putting in your own ideas, your own opinions, but always supporting those with references to the text. So if we go back to the question, what you need to do in your essay is think about it in 3 sections. In your introduction, you could explain that Eddie and Catherine's relationship changes dramatically throughout the play. So at the beginning, this is what it's like. At the end, this is what it's like. And think about, in the main body of your essay, explaining how those changes occur. So the main body of your essay, you're picking out the key moments from the play where you learn something about their relationship, and you're then exploring them in detail, and you can use the 7 stages to structure that. You could do it in a chronological order, so you could go from the beginning of the play to the end and talk about things in a chronological order, the order in which they happen, or you could group related points together, which is maybe a bit more of a difficult way of doing it. If you, for example, want to make the point that Eddie is controlling, you could track that throughout the acts where it happens, and you could group all of those ideas and find supporting quotations from different parts of the play. If you were doing it in chronological order, you could go through the book, work your way through and find the key moments that happen and talk about them in the order that they happen in. In the conclusion, you need to explain how the relationship has changed since the beginning of the play and comment on this with your own opinions. So, for example, you could be answering the question of, perhaps, was it inevitable that their relationship would change in this way? Was it a foregone conclusion? Was it always going to happen? And you might have a point there about what Alfieri suggests, in that at one point in the play there was nothing that anybody could do to stop this event from happening. It might be that you're thinking, was it anyone's fault? If Catherine had been different, would this have happened? If Eddie had been different, would this have happened? Moving on, if we look at how you're going to structure your paragraphs, you need to use the 7 stages. This structure and these sentence starters will be given to you on Monday so that you have them with you when you're doing the controlled assessment. If you want to pause the screen so that you can take some of these ideas down, then you can do that, but you will have them with you printed out for you on Monday. It's basically sentence starters about how you start a point, how do you explore language, how do you give an alternative interpretation, talking about the writer's intention and the effect on the audience. Remember that you don't have to use every stage all of the time. If you did that, your paragraphs would be really formulaic and really boring. You need to try and mix it up. So it might be that in one paragraph you make a point, you give evidence, you explain your evidence, and then maybe you give some more evidence and explain that. There might not be any language that you could explore, so it might be that you move on and you talk about what the effect on the audience has been. Next paragraph, you might want to start with the evidence. So you start with the evidence, explain it. There might be a good word, so it might be Catherine explaining that Eddie's a rat, so you could pick out the connotations of the word rat, what that suggests, maybe sneaky, malicious, deceiving people, and then you could go from there. So use the different stages when they're appropriate. You don't have to use all of them all of the time. On this slide, you've got some key moments that define Eddie and Catherine's relationship. So if you're struggling to find things to talk about in the main body of your essay, then some of these moments might be useful to bring up. Again, if you want to pause this slide and maybe get some ideas down before Monday about the things that you want to talk about in your essay, then you can do that now. The one in bold here, where Eddie comes home drunk and kisses Catherine and then Rodolfo, because this is the catalyst that causes the divisions in their relationship to get much, much worse, to the stage where they're irreparable, they can't go back from that. That is something that every essay should be talking about. But apart from that, you can pick out the things that you think you want to focus on. The final slide is key quotes that you could use. You should have taken your text home, so you should be able to find these quotes for yourself, but I will give you a sheet of these on Monday so that if you're really stuck, then you have something that you can use. You need to find quotes that support the points that you're making, and sometimes you may need 1 or 2 quotes per paragraph. If you want to pause it here and take some of these quotes down and make some notes on your planning sheet, then do that now. I'm just going to flip back so that I can show you this paragraph, which we did look at in class, where you can see the points in red. These are all the quotations that I've managed to put into this paragraph to help with my main point, which is that Eddie is clearly proud of Catherine's appearance and compliments her at the beginning of the play. You can see how I've embedded different quotes throughout the paragraph to support what I'm saying. You can see where I've made alternative interpretations. You can see where I've picked out a word and I've looked at the connotations of that word and explored the language. You can see how I've used the writer's intention, why Miller might have used these comments, and the effect that this might have on the audience. So this paragraph uses the 7 stages. It is a thorough response, it is a sustained response, and at times it is getting more perceptive when it thinks about why Miller might be doing things, why Eddie might be doing things, and especially when it talks about the different types of nicknames that Eddie has for Catherine. Okay, so hopefully that will be useful to help you with the controlled assessment. As I said, all of the resources that I've shown to you will be available for you on Monday, but you need to be thinking about your own essay and how you're going to structure that, what kind of ideas you want to put into that. See you on Monday.